Hello, I think I'm here. And I am currently sitting by myself. I'm Kayla Lords. This empty spot next to me is John Brownstone. We're loving BDSM, where we help Kingsters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. This is our weekly live stream while we record our podcast. Look who's slipping in right now. Hi. Ah, he exists. He's not a figment of my imagination. If you do not like chit-chat stuff and you're like, I get to the damn point, and you arrive after the stream is over, fast forward by about 5 minutes until I have a chance to get timestamps in. If you don't like the chit-chat stuff and you're here early for the live stream, you take a bathroom break, go get a cup of coffee, do what you got to do. Give us a few minutes to get out of the chit-chat stuff. We're here. Hi, Aria. Hi, Liz. Hi, Taishu. Man soap. Yeah, man soap. At least it's an ad. I'll take it.
Yeah. For now, until you drop your first F-bomb.
I'm trying to wait a few minutes in. So here's the thing. Our name is Loving BDSM. We already have that strike against us. It's fine. Hi, Faye. So yeah, but we're here about 4 minutes early. Mm-hmm. Eventually there will be timestamps, and actually I do them same day, but sometimes I do them 20 minutes after we stop streaming, and sometimes I do them 3 hours after we stop streaming. Hi, Mr. Spock. Hi, CPR Reynolds. We're here. I do feel a little rushed. I don't like starting without you, but I didn't want to wait any longer.
I know.
So.
I had things I had to do.
I know.
Had to do it.
I know. I still find it hilarious. You are, and it's a healthy thing that you do. You are a very slow eater.
Yes.
But when you try to convince yourself and me that you can eat a meal quickly, I know it's not going to happen.
Comparing to how I normally
That's
ate,
true.
that was quick.
That is true. That was still not actually quick by anybody else's standards.
I make all kinds of various noises. Nobody on the podcast or the live stream wants to hear my stomach making noises.
Yeah, no, I get that. I understand that. I only on the virtual munches and live streams like that will you find me eating. That's coming up this Friday, and you may find me eating then too. Depends on my emotional state. Mark, we're glad you're here. We hate the fact that you're
hate the reason. Don't like the reason that you're here.
Hi, Eva. So I will do a little for butt rub portion stuff. You're watching, so one can assume that you are likely a subscriber and pay attention to when new videos come out. You'll notice we haven't had a new video this week. That's because I talked about this last week. We recorded a toy review and then literally could not get the product to turn off while we were recording the review. And I had reached out to the company because I wanted to give them a chance to make it right, because that's what should happen if you have that experience as a consumer. And they are making it right, and they are sending us a new one, but that hasn't arrived yet, and I don't want to do the review until we can slip in with an edit and go, we got the new one here. The problem is now fixed, hopefully. But I didn't feel like getting ahead of myself in the schedule and recording an extra video either. So that's why there's no video other than the stream this week.
Yeah. And we're going to be doing the recording of the minis tonight.
I thought we were doing that next week.
Oh, next week?
We don't have to do it this week. We can do it next week.
Oh, okay, even better.
You get tonight off. But we did finish reading the book for Kinky Book Club, and we recorded that video today.
That video was recorded today.
And easily, of the 40 minutes of record time, 10 minutes is of me going, damn it, that's not what I meant to say. Stopping, pausing, figuring out. And at one point, I lost my train of thought completely. There was easily 20 seconds of silence while I stared blankly ahead because I couldn't remember what I wanted to say.
And no, Junie, it's not on. I wrapped it up in a towel and stuffed it in the back of the closet and let it run its course till the battery died.
The good news is when I reached out to the company, they were like, yes, our engineers found the problem right after launch. They've already fixed it, and we've reproduced more product so that we don't have that problem. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? But they're supposedly sending us a new one. So,
there you go.
Terry, I have responded to the email that you sent, and I have said a few times I take a while to respond to those emails because there's a lot going on, but I actually did respond to your email. I might have gone to your spam folder, but there's a response. Hey, Leo. Hey, Junie. And you're on time, Junie. was checking Discord to see, did I need to put out any reminders for everybody, which I never do, but, I could be helpful sometimes. Okay.
Hello and welcome, everyone.
Noon straight up.
Yep.
Let's get this thing started.
Okay.
What's the YouTube stuff? Oh, the shirts we're wearing say kink bruises are good bruises.
Yep.
That's an Ignixia design that is no longer available in her Teespring shop.
Oh, no.
I know, but I did link to Ignixia's Teespring shop in the description box. And there is a coupon code. We're not affiliates. We don't make money off of it. I don't care. I just love Ignixia. If you decide you want to shop from her shop and use Loving DS and you save 15% off. But yeah, I couldn't find this shirt anymore to link to, so that's not available anymore. That's one thing too. If you enjoy anything you see here, and we don't run you off, feel free to give us a thumbs up. We love thumbs ups. They make me happy. If you like it enough to come back for more and you haven't already, please consider subscribing.
And once you subscribe, ring that notification bell to get updates of new content.
Yay! And if you want more of this and you want to help support what we do and all that good stuff, you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/Killords. Link is in the description box. Is there anything else that is YouTube specific? I don't think so. Because everything is, I got a shit ton of announcements for y'all this week. So let's hit your magic button.
Can I click the button?
And I'll get into all of that.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so before we get into today's topic, I would like to say yet again another major, wonderful, big, massive, humongous thank you to Elegantly Owned for sponsoring this week's episode. Elegantly Owned is part of our podcast anniversary giveaway that we'll talk about in just a second. And you can follow Elegantly Owned at Elegantly Owned, all one word, on Twitter and Instagram. And let's go ahead and segue into, if you enter our giveaway, you can enter to win 3 prizes, 2 prize packs, 2 winners. Each winner gets 3 prizes, one of which is a collar made by Elegantly Owned. And one of those collars is Wonder Woman themed. So thank you to Elegantly Owned for sponsoring this week's episode. Speaking of the giveaway, if you go to lovingbdsm.net/giveaway, you can enter the giveaway. The giveaway entry part is open through the entire month of August. We will do the random drawing selection thing at the beginning of September. And like I did last week, we're going to do a show and tell. And I'm flexing my sadist muscles because I'm not showing the collars until next week. And for podcast listeners, obviously this is audio only. So if you go to lovingbdsm.net/giveaway, you can see pictures of what we're showing off today. One of the prizes is a sex toy from Hot Octopus. And we love Hot Octopus. And we have 2. We have a Curve vibrator, which can be external and it can be internal. They market it as an internal thing. It's got a bulbous head that's perfect for a G-spot. I don't care about G-spot. I use it on my clit, and it is delicious. It's got 2 types of motors. One is they call treble, one they call bass. I use them both together, and it is wonderful. And I actually, because the motors are so powerful and the vibrations are so deep and rumbly, I don't even have to crank it up or anything. I can have a good time on the lowest setting. The other sex toy that a winner will get to choose from, because we have one of one and one of the other, and I'm showing off ours. The ones that we're giving away are in the box still. It is the Atom cock ring, which looks like a big chunky guy. I get that, but it is great. I know you enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's penis ring, goes around the penis. I love it because grinding is a thing. And when you wear it, there's this lumpy bump at the top, and it presses right against me just right. I'm there. You get more hip action when you wear this during penetrative sex than any other time, because I'm like, give me those vibrations at the top of this ring. So yes, the first picture we put up on lovingbdsm.net giveaway was it in the box, because it is legit in the box. Don't worry, but we're showing in this video, and we'll show with pictures,
our own personal
because we do have these. So that's show and tell for this week. The more reminders on the giveaway, lovingbdsm.net/giveaway. You do need to be 18 and older to enter. You can live anywhere in the world that we can actually physically send mail to enter. It's not just U.S. only. It's not just North America only. 2 winners. There are multiple ways to enter to win. There are even a couple of daily options if you want to get more entries and up your chances, all that good stuff. Next announcement. The day this comes out on podcast is the Friday that this applies to. But Friday, whatever this Friday is, the 20th, what are dates? I don't know. Is the 3rd Friday of the month, which means we're doing our virtual munch, which is basically just a live stream on YouTube where we just hang out. We don't usually talk about BDSM. Every once in a while a question will come up, and if we catch it, we'll try to answer it. But we talk about movies, we talk about TV shows, we talk about food. So much food. Sometimes we talk about books.
Yeah.
Like we talk about we call it a virtual munch because in a munch you might talk about BDSM, but you're mostly just like hanging out and talking about whatever, and that's what we're doing. 9:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. The link will be in the show notes. If you're a subscriber to the YouTube channel, hopefully notifications will work, and if you subscribe to our Loving BDSM newsletter, you'll get the link straight in there as well.
There you go.
So that's a lot of damn announcements.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the topic of today's episode is on submissive leading and following a submissive's lead and letting a submissive lead. Now, we have done an episode from a million years ago about when a submissive leads the transition into DS. And that was specifically about the fact that sometimes it's the person who is the submissive in the relationship who either knows they're kinky or figures out they're kinky and is like, I want this to be my relationship, and they bring it up and they present the information they have and they help their partner figure themselves out. And we've done that conversation, and that continues to come up quite a bit. I will link it in the places if you have not listened to that episode yet. But this is more of a general thing, and we've mentioned it a lot. We are a living example of it here in the format in which you are hearing the sound of my voice right now. Because while this is a collaborative effort, and we work together to make it happen, to agree on topics, I am very much slightly in the forefront.
Yeah.
Also, I do most of the talking, if you haven't noticed. If you're new here, this is normal.
Well, like I've often said, if I did this podcast, it would be very, very short.
Yes, it would.
But, you do lead this. But going back to the beginning, one, this was your brainchild. And originally when you started doing it, it was just you.
Yeah, it was.
I wasn't even involved other than doing a little bit of editing.
Yes, which is how I sold it to you. I was like, please, all you'll have to do is do editing. See how
and then
that
I got
out.
pulled in hook, line, and sinker.
Right. And as a result, we often, from people who don't have a fuck about who we are, don't like us, don't like me, I don't care, whatever, decide that because I have, I put myself out there more, I tend to lead these conversations. And when I say lead, sometimes it's because I'm like, here's the premise, let's talk about it. And part of it is, if left to your own devices, you would say about 4 words a day.
That's pretty much how I roll.
So if anybody's waiting
to
hear wisdom from John Brownstone, guess what? You need me more than you know. I just sometimes have to remember to shut the hell up and let him talk. That's the part I'm still working on.
I have my moments,
Once we get you going.
I rolled out a rant here and there.
I know, it's fun. But what happens is then people look at us and go, oh, you can't be submissive because you talk more. What? You can't be submissive because this is clearly your thing. Whatever. And one, obviously that's false. 2, no.
Yeah.
Before anybody wants to get mad on my behalf, I'm not offended. I find that funny.
But that goes back to the thing, it's an old saying and it's been around for years. Just because you're submissive doesn't mean you're a doormat.
And also, just because I'm your submissive doesn't mean I'm anybody else's submissive.
That's absolutely true.
And I have found, as I'm getting older and kind of more comfortable in certain parts of my life, that I only want to be submissive to you, and then if there was ever somebody else. And I am a lot more comfortable than I once was taking charge, being in control, and actually, yes, I'm a happier person if outside the relationship and outside certain things, you just let me have control, which is a thing that comes up as a conflict sometimes, which we'll get into as we're talking about this, because once you want control and you're happy with the control, it is hard to sometimes give up the control.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing too. You know, early on in our relationship, I told this crazy woman sitting next to me that I would support her in whatever she wanted to do.
Sure.
And, you know, you wanted to be a freelance writer, a content creator. And I was like, okay, I will, you know, give you my full support in doing what you want to do. And I did. Now, I gave her my support. At that time, I was very immersed in the world of IT.
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing about content creating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I dabbled in blogging, and I call it dabbling because that's all I really did. I did not do it with a purpose. I just did it when it was a whim. And you, like a fair number of people, you are very dominant in your work.
It's where my actual big D energy
it's
comes
where
from.
you're at, yeah. And
it's control.
As far as our power exchange went, that was off limits
Sure.
to our DS. Mm-hmm. Because one, I know nothing about it. Mm-hmm. Okay? Two, I didn't want to have control over it.
Right, it wasn't that you didn't even want to be doing it, you wouldn't be here now if you didn't want to do it, but you didn't have the interest in the let me learn and know all about this. You were like, I'm happy to let you I'll show up when you tell me to, just tell me when I need to be there. I find that it's working out quite well, thanks.
But, you know, so that was something that, you know, you took the lead in. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm very happy with that. Our rules and protocols completely leave that out of the equation.
Sure.
All right. So, you know, yes, when I came into when you dragged me in,
I saw we make a better team. I know we do better together than I do by myself. Thank you very much.
And in reality, we do. All right. But when it comes to the nitty gritty of the business side of this, I still leave that to you.
On a lot of things.
Because it is what you do best.
Which is what's funny. And again, we'll get into this. I mentioned it just a minute ago. There are things that I do really well, but then I find I want to keep leading, and then sometimes you're like, but wait, you're not allowed to lead this part. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't come into my wood shop and try and lead shit in here. Yes. And it's really hard to turn that part of my brain off sometimes. And we work through it, yeah, I mean, we are living proof of sometimes the submissive leads, and as a dominant, it's perfectly fine to follow their lead. Right. I think it's about boundaries and parameters and context, and being the thing that we have not always done right or well, but we are getting better at, is being really clear on when and why you're leading and when and why you are not, and creating that separation. Yeah. So let's actually get into this as sort of a concept, because I know there's somebody out there on either side of the slash going, what? That's bullshit. Okay, if that's how you live, that's fine. But I find this to be a compelling idea that I think for many people, even if you've never thought of it this way, could resonate. Okay, so the way I look at it is, it's not really that I'm leading or that you're following, certainly not in a power exchange sense. It is about leaning on a person's strengths, and that person happens to be submissive. We talked about this before. If I know how to do the technical thing, but I'm the submissive, and you have no clue what I'm doing, why would you try and take it over as the dominant when I'm the one with the knowledge and skills? It would be like go back to content creation because that's the most recent example. You don't know how to write certain content that I write all the time. Don't have a clue. Could figure it out. You know how to Google like the rest of us.
Sure.
But why would you waste that time, energy, and effort when you've got a person right next to you who can do it, is capable of doing it, has the certain expertise on it, and can just get it done? It's a lot more efficient, quite frankly, to lean on each other's strengths than it is to try to stay in just a role for the role's sake.
And it's just like, for a good example, bringing it back to this, early on in the early days of the podcast, I was solely doing the audio editing. Mm-hmm. I still do the audio editing. Mm-hmm. I have got that down to a...
That's a skill I don't really care to... I'm good.
Right. So...
But you don't do the script. You don't do the sponsorship.
I don't do the script, no.
All that stuff, that's me.
But on the same token, when we started doing video, I tried to learn video editing. Mm-hmm. I tried. Keyword on tried.
I'm still trying to, but in a different way.
And I, if you're on YouTube, you see my hair, how short it is. I pulled my hair out. Stop. I video editing is not my forte at all. I could not grasp that concept to do it. You, on the other hand, as much as you say you're still learning, which I don't doubt, you do a very good job of it.
Hey, I'll at least get the damn thing up and out.
Okay.
It's watchable.
So, I'm not going to stand over your shoulder and tell you...
Well, it's a waste of everything if you don't just let me do what I'm good at.
Right.
Now, for those who are really cringing at this concept and the way we're presenting it, you still have, first of all, you're still the dominant in all of this stuff, so you're ultimately the decider. That never changes. Even when I take the lead on a topic that I have the knowledge in or the comfort level with, or the experience with, or whatever it might be, at the end of the day, we're still a power exchange, and we're still 24/7, so I will...
Right.
The lead might be gathering all the information. The lead might be talking to the people who need talking to. The lead might be coming up with the solutions that I think will work best based on what I know to be true. And then I don't just stop being submissive, even though I'm in this sort of lead position. I then pivot and I go, I've done all this. Here's what you need to know. Here's what I can share with you. Here's what I've learned. Here are the options. Sometimes there's only one option, but here are the options I think would be best given all of these factors. Ta-da, make a decision. And even then, and we've talked about this before, talked about this in our leadership episode, you still will listen to my opinion and let me tell you, here's what I think, and here's why I think this one's the best, and this one could work, but blah, 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 blah. And most of the time, I would say all the time when you don't know anything about this and you're relying on me, you'll go with my best solution, the one I'm recommending, which, yes, it still looks like I'm been in charge and I'm leading the whole thing, but not really, because ultimately it's your choice. If you really weren't comfortable with something, you would go, I'm really not comfortable with that. I don't want us to do that. Let's look at something else. Is there something you didn't think about? As I have a question, sometimes questions from a person who doesn't know about a thing will spark an idea in the person who does have the information knowledge, and it'll take you on a different path. So it's still collaborative the whole time. And at the end of it, you still have a final say and the final decision.
Right.
So it's not as if I go off on my own and do whatever the fuck I want and never bring it back to the power exchange. I did want to talk about some of the reasons, and I'm not going to say these are every single reason out there, but they're the ones that could come to my mind based on our experience of why this might happen or be necessary. So the one that came to your mind first, and it was funny because it was the first note I wrote, I was like, oh, yep, that can, is that being, as a submissive, being in a leadership position or leading a change or leading with information or being the one to go figure something out or take charge of a situation can be an act of service in a power exchange relationship.
Sure.
Sometimes and I think these things are layered and nuanced. Sometimes I'm taking charge because I really fucking enjoy this and I'm good at it and I have the knowledge. But also I recognize that it's a service to you because you're not taking on a task that you're not suited for, that will stress you out, that will waste your time when you could be doing other things that you are better suited to do. And so even when it fits all these other reasons, it's still an act of service for you.
Well, I was going to say, as a leader, looking at it in say a workforce type of scenario, you're a manager and you have a team under you. All right. Now, even as a manager or leader, dominant, there's only so many plates you can juggle at a time.
Sure.
All right. You are not, infinite in what you can do. As a manager, you have your team. You delegate to your team. Say, okay, have at it. Do what you got to do. And that's one thing I don't have to worry about, but you are doing that function, that job, that role, and that's serving me because, I can't do it all.
Right. And sometimes it is an absolute inefficient use of everybody's time to let the least capable, least experienced, least knowledgeable person take on a thing when there's somebody sitting right there who could get it done for you in 30 seconds. Like, why are we going to waste talent like that? Why are we not going to embrace the gifts that our partners have just because of their role? Like, that doesn't make sense. And, we're talking about it from what you visibly see of us, but there are other ways this can go. When it comes to school stuff, now granted, it's the one place in our life where we're not fully in our power exchange. We try to approach parenting as complete and total equals. It's a struggle, but we're working. We work on it. But we both know I'm the one that's going to make the call to a school to ask some hard questions of an adult in my child's life, right? Like, we know I'm going to be the one to deal with a doctor, and I'll be the one to more quickly stand up and go, no, fuck you and the horse you rode in, and we're not doing that, right? and part of that, sure, is as a mom, maybe that's, part of me, but also there's one time in my life I'm not socially anxious, and that is in defense of my children. You are capable of doing that, but you're a lot more soft-spoken. You're a lot more conciliatory. You're a lot more like, let's discuss this. And sometimes that's the right approach, and we'll go with your approach. And sometimes Mama Bear needs to stand up and go, fuck you and the horse you rode in a polite, professional way, of course. And there
ain't nothing more that you don't want to be in the way of than Mama Bear when she's on a rampage.
But you could go, well, I'm in charge around here, so let me make this phone call. But I'm going to get an outcome that is or I'm going to attempt to get an outcome that we'll both feel good about. And I'm going to be the one that's more firm in that situation, because in that moment, my personality lends itself to that where yours does not.
Correct.
And so you're going to step back and let me handle that.
Yeah.
The nice thing is, and I think an important thing here is, there will be times I am not able to handle that leadership capacity. I'm not able to take charge. I'm not able to step forward like that. And we have a relationship where I can look at you and go, I can't do this right now for whatever the reason might be.
Which is why I'm on the phone to the insurance company and to the mortgage company, and yes.
I'll handle the school and the doctors. You handle the mortgage company. And sometimes that's disappointing to the other. Like, I know there are times you're like, okay, good, we're gonna let the bitch go handle it, and she's gonna get shit handled. And I'll turn to you and it's just a rough day, and I'm like, I can't do this. I just don't have it in me. And I have to deal with your momentary disappointment. But that's, again, what I love is when your leadership role and skills kick in, because you go, oh fuck, I don't want to do this, but okay, she can't do it right now. I wanted her to do it as an act of service because she's the best one to handle it for all these reasons, but she can't. So okay, I'm stepping up. I'll be the big D. I'll be the mature, responsible adult who needs to get shit done and talk to a mortgage company, and I'll handle it, even though I kind of wish she would have handled it. And that's part of it as well. Just like there are things I want you to take charge on. I want you to make that phone call. I want whatever. I want you to go do the thing. And you'll say to me, I don't have it in me. I can't do it. And so go do this thing for me becomes a direct act of service, especially when I didn't really want to, that can very much look like I need to take charge of something, or I'm at least going to appear to the outside like I'm in charge of something. And there are times that I sometimes find this a little difficult. We've worked through it just fine. We've never had problems because of it. But sometimes you're like, just go handle that. Go make that call. Go deal with that person. Go have that conversation. And in that, a decision has to be made right then, and it's not one I can defer and go, let me talk to my husband. Here's the deal. If I go, let me talk to my husband, the answer is no. I'm just being polite, quite frankly, and I just didn't want to tell you no. But sometimes a decision has to be made, and I'm the one there, and we are, for all our power exchange, for all our kinky ways, we are two humans navigating the rest of our life, and sometimes the person who's not the decision maker has to make a decision. And I will make that decision. I will then, the moment I can, turn to you and go, I had to make a decision, and here were all the circumstances, and I wanted to talk to you first, but I didn't have that choice. And thankfully, one, you trust my judgment. Yeah. Two, I kind of know how you feel about most things. And three, you back me. Even if we're like, oh, maybe we could have done that differently. You trust my judgment. That's another part of it. You allow me to take the lead in places where it makes sense because of that. Because you're not sitting back questioning, do I really know what I'm talking about? Am I, can I make a decision? Have I made decisions that you fundamentally disagreed with in the past? Like, we have that built in, which makes it easier to allow, I think.
Yeah.
Another reason, and we've talked about this a few times, but let's just say it, is that you get better outcomes. Like, why am I going to go send the fifth string football player in when number one quarterback's sitting right here and knows what the fuck she's doing? Like, just, why are we doing that? We're not sending the amateur in when the professional's right there and ready and willing and able to do it, and you want them to do it. So, if there's this kind of feeling of, but that person's the dom and they should be in charge, it's like, yeah, but what do you want the outcome to be? Like, do you want this, whatever this situation is, where somebody has to kind of navigate it? Do you want it to end well? Is there a specific outcome you're going for? Because if there's a specific outcome, then you put the best person in to hopefully get to that outcome. I mean, it has nothing to do with your roles in a relationship at that point. I think we've said this because of our top example. With like the podcast and the YouTube and blah blah blah, what we are is living BDSM, is that sometimes it just makes more damn sense.
True.
Here's one. I've gone, and partly because the kids are biologically mine and yours by marriage, but they are our kids, okay?
Yeah.
But I have been there, obviously, since the moment they slipped into this world. I've gone to every doctor's appointment, every this, every that, know more about them than they do on certain things, right? Like in some ways it's that stereotypical mom thing, which it doesn't have to be a stereotype. I think in many families there's a caregiver who just is the one who does all of that stuff. Well, then when it's time to talk about health, about the children, the first person you're going to want to talk to is the person who knows all the stuff. You will sit there, you will hold my hand, you would set a meeting, you would ask smart questions, but ultimately when they start throwing out but how much do they weigh, and how big, and what is this, and what, we're all looking at me because I'm the one that's been there. It just makes sense to let me like lead. And leading, I think we get really big pictures in our head of what leading is, like this podcast, right? Like going and deciding to buy a car, like a financial decision, but sometimes it's just let them lead in the conversation. I have come across just one too many doms of all types and stripes who think they are supposed to be the ones talking all of the time, and their submissive is basically never supposed to speak, especially in public. And sometimes, I mean, if that's your protocol, if that's how you like navigate life, okay. But what
That's
about
how it is for some people,
right? And I'm not judging that, but let's be realistic here. Sometimes there's a situation where you don't even know what the questions are to ask. Like you don't even have that much information. Are we not going to, even if it has to be framed as this is a service, this is a command, this is a whatever, are we not going to let the most capable person between the two of you do the talking, ask the questions, get the information? The decision might be yours,
right,
depending on what's going on, but you can let a little S lead that conversation, because they're the ones that they know what the hell's going on. And you don't.
Yep.
And it's not a weakness to admit that you don't know something. Quite frankly, I find it a strength when somebody goes, I don't have a clue. We don't have to look that up. Right. You don't want to ask me, ask this person. Like, to be able to say, I don't know is not as common as it ought to be. Well, and among all people, regardless of power exchange or otherwise.
We've mentioned this in the past, both times when selling the condo and buying the new house, because you have a better understanding of real estate, way more than I ever do. I've gained some by osmosis at this point, but because of that understanding, I let you take the lead in dealing with the realtor.
Oh, yeah. It makes me feel powerful, and then it makes me feel weird all at the same time. Like, I love the power. Also, this doesn't feel right. I contain multitudes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm a multi-layered person. I don't know if this is a reason, but I didn't classify it this way in my notes. I have tons of notes for this episode, y'all. Just be proud of us. I do think there's something, and this won't happen in every situation. It won't apply to every time that the submissive in a situation is the one who kind of takes control of the moment or the questioning or the conversation or just the situation, whatever. But I think there's something to being allowed to shine and thrive and to do what you're good at. Like, assuming it's what you want to do and you're not being forced to do something that you know you're objectively good at but you hate. Like, that's a thing. But, like, you have a talent in this and you're willing to do it and you're capable of doing it. And being allowed as a person, regardless of your role, to have that moment to just embody what you do well, like, that's empowering. That's sometimes motivating. Sometimes it's good for self-esteem. Sometimes it's a little weird. Like, sometimes I do feel a little unmoored. I feel like I'm adrift out there alone, and I'm like, where's my backup? Where's the person that I can go, I don't know, look at him. But sometimes I'm like, fucking A, look at me. I knew what the fuck was going on, and it
see,
feels good.
That is also an opportunity to allow the S to take the lead. That's a bit of a growth opportunity.
Oh, I think so too.
All right?
Yeah, I think so too.
To give them a chance, in some cases, for some, that may be a boundary they need to push.
Right. And I think that will be very specific to the person and specific to the situation, and it's not something you can apply from situation to situation or person to person. Because there are times when I'm like, I'm a little nervous, but I can do it with the right push, or knowing you're behind me the whole way.
Right.
And sometimes I'm like, no, I cannot. I am physically incapable of this. It is not happening. And you can want me to do it, especially if we know I'm the best suited to something, and I'm over here going, I can't. And then if I was forced to do it from that position, that would be the opposite of empowering. That would could potentially be very rough to come back from, because I was asked to not push the boundary, but like just act like the boundary didn't even exist and do something I was deeply uncomfortable with, and not and there was no part of me that was willing to do it. The push the boundary thing a little bit is there's some part of you that's willing to do it, but maybe you're scared, maybe you're worried you'll do something wrong or whatever, but there's a part of you that can be pushed because you're willing to be pushed. But I agree, like, in a lot of power exchange relationships, part of the many parts that a dom is trying to do for their sub is to help them grow, to empower them, to give them confidence, to help them, like, be the best version of themselves.
Sure.
And quite frankly, sometimes that's going, here, you know better than I do, go handle it. Or go handle it with parameters like we do. Like, go get the information, go have the conversations, go make a couple of decisions, gather the information, bring it back to me, we'll decide together. I'll make the final decision, but you do the groundwork and be the front person and speak on our behalf and all that stuff. And yeah, if that I think it could have a place within certain relationships as a growth opportunity. So, we've been saying this, and I just want to, like, reiterate it. I get, mostly from watching you and from some disagreements we have from time to time, that for many, not all, doms there is this sense of, it's not necessarily just about power and power over another person. It's about control. It's about wanting to control all factors and parameters. Guess what? None of us can. Just letting you know. Sorry to disappoint. Wanting to feel like you have last say, total say, or a say in the direction of what is happening and the way things are going. And I respect that, and I get it. And quite frankly, as a submissive, there's part of me that's like, yes, please, Jesus, somebody else do this. But also, I don't think that it is going to be good in the long term, or even healthy in the long term, for a dominant or the person in the dominant role, because y'all, I do know switches exist, so however that works out for you, to think that you are supposed to always take every moment to be in control and to lead and to be the first to speak and to be the first to know what's going on and to ask the right questions. Like, first of all, that's a lot of damn pressure to be under.
It is a lot of pressure. And yet, when you go into certain spaces, especially online, and this was something I encountered early on, when I first came across this, that's what you're supposed to do. If you are in control, you are in control all the time. Now, granted, there are those who want micromanaged relationships on either side of the slash, and that's what they want, and that's what they have negotiated and consented to, and that is what works for them. I think for most people, it does not.
And I also think even in the most micromanaged situations, the outside part of life is going to interfere. There's going to come a point where the little S knows more than you do about a topic. Are we not relying on their knowledge? Really? Are we not relying on their expertise? So that, again, I go back to that just feels wasteful and ridiculous and inefficient to the max. I don't think that just because we're talking about this, because we do this weekly with this thing we're doing right now, but this is not, just by admitting that there could be times when you want to follow a submissive's leader, you as a submissive are like, I'm better suited to lead us through this, navigate, maybe change the language, maybe not say lead, say navigate, whatever you need, but to navigate through the situation does not mean that what you're saying is submissives should lead all the time and don't have to follow what their dom say. It's not an all or nothing. It's a nuance. It's for some people, especially people with fairly high protocols about behavior and expectations and who talks first and all those things, it might be a really rare thing that it's a one-off where you go, this is an extenuating circumstance where I can objectively see my partner can handle this better than I could. Right. It's going to be better, faster, easier, whatever, if I tell them, ask them, however that works for you. But at the other end, I also think that it can become a regular form of life, but it doesn't take away from somebody's dominance to let them do that. No. You are no less dominant because weekly I am out here going, here's what we do, and talking more than you.
Correct. And there are times, believe me, that I am grateful that you have stepped up and taken the lead. There have been times I've been sick.
Sure.
And it's like, oh man, I really am not feeling good today. I'm exhausted. My head hurts, but I need to make dinner.
Right. Or you just need to make a decision about something.
Yeah.
There's a question looming.
Or a kid needs to be picked up, but I've got a sinus infection, or, and you step up and you're like, no, you rest.
Right. I don't ask.
And I'll deal with dinner. I'll fetch the kids,
Right.
And believe me, I am ever so grateful for that in those times.
And here's the thing. We have clearly a very relaxed dynamic where under specific situations, I have the freedom to do that. If you do not have that kind of dynamic, there are ways to do that still respect your dynamic. Seeing your dominant need to rest, need to not do the things they really do, maybe you're not in a position to go, you need to lay down, I'll go handle that, even though that's why we have the tough love clause. I get that's part, we negotiated this. So your method might be to make a humble request, ask within the parameters of your power exchange, suggest.
Right.
We
negotiated that because I'm a stubborn cuss, and there have been times early on that I had been sick, and I was like still trying to push and power through.
Yep. And I was like, self-care goes all the ways.
Yeah.
You can put your damn oxygen mask on first, please, and thank you. And I think you can also frame it in, especially if you're just deeply uncomfortable by the idea. Like, I get it. Again, you don't have to say navigate. I'm sorry, you don't have to say lead. You can say navigate a situation. You can say assist. Like, if that makes it more palatable to you to get through, or you're thinking of your partner and you're like, oh, they're not going to like it if I use the word lead or leadership here to talk about the submissive here, then find another word. But because it is not, taking the lead does not mean that I lead in all things. Taking the lead does not mean that I am the leader or the one in charge. It means that for this little teeny tiny like offshoot of the path that we're on, I get to walk in front for about 4 steps. And then when we get there, I either move side by side with you or I'm behind you following you. It's a temporary thing to navigate life in a way that I think leads to better outcomes in whatever way that might be. Either that's to pursue a goal and to accomplish it, or it's to get somebody through a health situation, or to make life a little bit easier, or to handle things as they come up that, if handled badly, will be more stressful. Y'all, we all know what it's like for a money thing, a thing that costs money, to go off the fucking rails. I mean, think about it this way, and this won't apply 100%, but think about it this way. If it is the Dom who's in charge of everything but knows nothing about that topic, new roof, let's just pretend, and that person's like, but I have to handle this because I'm the Dom and that's what we do in this relationship, that Dom will handle it, but maybe they just spent $20,000 more than they had to, when if you'd let your submissive, who happens to work in construction, go have the conversation with the roofer, you get a better roof faster for less money. I mean, it's that kind of thing. It's not that they are now put in charge of everything. It's that they are navigating this little offshoot of what's happening in life to create a better outcome for everybody. And it can be as stark as saving money. It can be saving time. It can be a health thing. It can be all kinds of stuff. But why would we waste those resources? Why would we waste that talent? Why would we put somebody in the shadows simply because of their role and not for any other reason?
Right.
Not because they're not the right person to handle it. That's fine. But if they are the perfect person to handle it, then do it. And if you as a submissive find it really weird and you're not, if this speaks to you, use it. Consider it a service. Consider it a way to submit to your partner that, let them know that they're going to have to tell you that you need to do this, as long as you consent to it, of course, for that to be palatable to you. That's fine. That's fine. But the concept, the idea of it, I think, whatever word you use for it, however you navigate it within a power exchange, fine. Find the way that works for you. But let us not turn down wonderful talents from a person and not utilize them when they are on offer, when the person is willing, because they happen to be the submissive. I don't like it. Is what I'm saying.
And from my perspective, when you take the lead on certain things, I'm like, I am fine with that. You take the lead, you deal with this. This frees me up to do other things that need to be done. So I am seeing it as an act of service.
Sure.
When you do that.
Sure. And even if I don't see it as an act of service, if you see it as an act of service and it fulfills that part for you, then it's valid and it's true and it's good. So, okay, for the dominance, if you're like, I know this is the right answer, but man, this is just, rubbing me the wrong way, then reframe it in your mind as to how it will fit with your dominance. An act of service. I was in the live stream chat, somebody talked about delegating, and delegating is a sign of good leadership. Call it delegation if you need
Delegating is an amazing thing.
I don't care what you call it.
If you can learn the art of delegation as a leader, you have done an amazing thing.
I think ultimately, and I don't have to worry about this from you, thankfully, because you embrace the fact that there are things I just am qualified to do and you let me do them, or that I'm willing to do and you let me do them. It really is about seeing each other as whole people and not just the roles we inhabit and not just what we do for each other within those roles. And even though it is a struggle, to turn off the part of my brain that was like, but I have just been in control of everything for the past 10 hours and I fucking love it. To shut that off a little bit, to go, okay, no, I'm talking to somebody with whom I am submissive to, and that there's a different way of interacting. That is difficult. I'll tell you it's not. But I also feel seen as my whole self. I can embrace every part of who I am, even when it's messy, even when it's difficult, even when it causes strife, as it sometimes does. That's a whole thing. And that, for me, makes me feel, we talked about this a minute ago, more empowered, just in general, stronger within myself, but also, you trust me to do these things. That makes it easier to trust you to handle other things and to see me and to hear me and to respect me. And it's this whole, we're at the wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, but really it's wibbly wobbly, power exchange, respect, love, trust, honor, integrity, communication ball of stuff. Like it's all mixed in. It's not the one thing that will build trust or enhance communication, but it's a part of that. And I do think that when we lean into each other's strengths and we let people embody who they are in ways that are healthy and good for them, that they want to be, that make them feel fulfilled, I think then everybody becomes a slightly better version of themselves, and then hopefully you get to be a slightly better version of yourself together. That's the ideal. I do, real quick, want to touch on those struggles, though, because I think it would be very disingenuous to act like you just let the submissive, be their, bad bitch self, and it'll be great. And yes, situationally, I think we have found that to be universally true.
Yeah.
But it really, not always, not all the time. But if we, and this is a problem we have been facing recently, the thing I've noticed is when we find ways to consciously, purposefully reconnect within our power exchange, I can flip that switch in my head.
Right.
When we go too long without being our dom sub self together, we're always daddy baby girl because we're just too playful and sarcastic and snarky. We just can't help ourselves. But dom sub, where there's a little bit more structure, then
a little tougher to rope you in.
It's hard. Your job is harder because I don't have the muscle memory to flip that switch.
Right.
Because I'm like, but I've just been in charge all day, and I'm feeling good,
and that's when I have to know the difference to step outside of daddy.
Yes, daddy will get walked the fuck all over if
he's not careful.
Right.
That's right. And that's when it's time for the big D to step in and dig those heels in.
And I recognize this will not be a situation everybody can relate to, but I do think it is even more complicated by the fact that we work together, we live together, we sleep together, we parent together, everything is together. There is no separation. Like when you still worked your old job and when we were long distance and I worked my own job, during that work time, we would try to fit in some power exchangey kind of stuff, and when we first moved in together and you were still working the office job, the start of the day would have some power exchange stuff because I would get your lunch ready, I'd get your coffee ready, blah, blah, blah. But there was a defined endpoint where you were home and we had talked about it, but I'd also just sort of worked it out. So by the time you were home, unless it was under a strict deadline, I was done with work for the day.
Yes.
And so once you walked in the door, your work mode was usually turned off. Mine was basically turned off, and we were...
And then we focused on each other.
Right.
That's
and there was a clear delineation between
the two.
And so while our personal situation might not be relatable, I think that is a good thing to have, of a clear on-off point, a clear divide between here's the moment where it's not really about the power exchange as much, especially if maybe this is a big situation where this submissive is genuinely taking a lead on a big thing, that daily, weekly something, there's got to be a point where you go, okay, that mode needs to be turned off to the best of your abilities and get into this other mindset and make this shift, because not having that we've talked about this in other types of episodes too. Not having that leads to frustration. It leads to miscommunication. It leads to you being in dom mode and me being in baby girl / boss girl mode. And it's not a good outcome usually. Somebody's feelings are getting hurt, okay?
Or someone's butt's getting hurt.
If I'm lucky. I'm not big on misbehave until you get the thing you wanted when you can just fucking ask for the thing you wanted. But sometimes I'm like, I get a little extra sassy. I know me. It's fine. And you'll threaten me with a spanking. And I'm like, please, what else do I have to do to get this? Give me a list. Because even though it is known that, yes, I would totally accept that, and I don't have to, quote, misbehave to get those things, it's like, oh, but at least he's paying attention to me. Like, I get why children and brats act out to get attention. I get it.
That brat mentality there, yeah.
I'm trying not to go down that road.
Well,
I don't want to. That's not, doesn't speak to me, but
yeah, I know.
I get it. So yeah, but having a clear boundary between that mindset.
But careful what you ask for, as you found out too, because there was a time early on, I threatened you with a punishment, and you were like, "Okay, bring it on." And you know what?
I know, but you know what?
I brought it on, and I showed you how spanking
because it wasn't about the pain that I wanted.
Yeah.
It was about the clear power exchange of who the fuck's in charge and who is not, and being put in my place. Do I think there could have been a better way for that? And if I could have articulated that would have been better. Yes. Because it wasn't that I'm sure it came across as bravado of, I'm not afraid of your spanking. I love spankings, but it was more like, please, Jesus, show me who's boss around here, because the gremlins in my brain have taken over, and they're trying to convince me that I'm the boss, and I don't want to be the boss, except for these hours when I'm working on these things. So, yeah. I don't, it's not going to work for everybody. Not everybody's going to feel the way we feel about it, and, I expect that and I respect that. I just don't want people to miss moments where somebody is best suited to a thing simply because of the role you inhabit. And I also want submissives to know that you can stand in your power and stand in your knowledge and be the one and still be fully submissive and fully embrace whatever that role looks like for you. Yeah. Do you have anything else you would say about that?
Just to sum it up, don't be afraid of the delegation. Don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed because you think you have to juggle all the plates all the time.
As a dom, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same for submissives. You should not have to juggle all the things all the time.
No.
In case you wondered.
So don't be afraid to delegate some of that, and it's not giving up control. It's still being seen as an act of service, and it could be a good growth opportunity. And
it can be done within power exchange.
Right.
You go handle that conversation. Right. You go figure that thing out. Bring it back to me. We'll talk about it then. You're still in charge.
Yeah.
You literally just saved yourself time and effort, and utilized the skills of a person who ideally is in a position to be able to offer you that service or support or access to their knowledge and abilities. Just don't waste resources.
No. Nope.
What are we doing? Especially not in the name of a misguided belief that as the big D, you're supposed to know all, be all, do all, and always be in charge. What? What are we doing? What? What? We still gotta live in this world. I would love to live in our power exchange 24/7 and ignore the outside world and have it never interfere and always be whatever version of the mishmash of submissive baby girl masochist I can be in a given moment, and pretend that Nothing. That's all I ever have to be and do. But that's just not the world we live in.
No, that's a fantasy novel I like to read.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know what? I would panic and go, not believable.
Yeah.
Couldn't suspend my disbelief that much. Just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This one's been on my list of wants to talk about for a while. And now we have. I can check that off the list.
Yep.
We will, next week, spoiler, we'll get into something more kink focused. So, and less high level relationship focused. Give everybody a break.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
right.
yeah, I think that's it.
So, are we good?
I don't know. Okay.
All right.
Keep it kinky, y'all. And we'll see you next week. Dottie.
What?
Can I talk to the crickets, please?
I don't think so. I think we just need a moment of silence and let Lola's snoring
Lola, who
fill the
already
airwaves.
snored all the way through the video we recorded before this.
Yeah. I know. She's just been. It's been like a constant snore fest all morning with her.
She's living her best I nap in the middle of the day life.
Yeah.
So, may I talk to the crickets, please?
Yes, you may.
She said in her submissive way. What do we got for bonus section? Oh, thank you again to Elegant Leone for sponsoring this week's episode.
Yeah.
At Elegant Leone on Twitter and
Yes,
Instagram.
yes.
I did link to the shop in the show notes and the description box on YouTube, so you can check them out. But what have we got other than a snoring Lola?
I'm loving this coffee.
Yes, you found it's a mocha cold brew made with almond milk, and when I tasted
And sugar free.
it's got sugar in it.
Well,
no, it's got sugar in it.
Sugar,
it's
sugar?
got cane sugar. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
But I took a sip of it, and it tasted like chocolate milk. And as somebody
Yeah.
who's not allowed to drink actual milk anymore, oh god, that was a delight. I put a little bit in my regular coffee. It was delicious. Let's see. What else? Kids are back in school.
Yay.
Yeah, I've adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
The 11-year-old is adjusting well, thank God.
Yeah.
The 16-year-old, so he's doing what's called dual enrollment, which means he gets to take college classes while in high school. We're loving that.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago, I'm getting to watch, and I would like a medal for not spending all of my time going, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. I don't do it. I want to, and I think it really loud. Because a couple years ago, we would be talking about college, and he was resistant to the idea, and I'm not going to force somebody to go to higher education who does not want to be there, but I was like, okay, if you're not going to do that, what is your plan? Because there's got to be something. What do you want to do? But we would be talking about college.
Yeah.
And I kept telling him, I'm like, look, dude, college classes are not like high school. Like, it's night and freaking day. And plus, at the time, he had teachers that, like, they clearly knew they were dealing with a 14-year-old child and were treating him like the 14-year-old child that he was. Like, I get it, but he was just chafing at it. So this week, he had his first college classes, and yeah, there's a bunch of high schoolers there, but it's kind of a mix, and they're teaching like college professors do. And he came home and went, oh my god, I think I love college. He was like, they just don't give a fuck. And I'm like, they just tell you, and then it's like, whatever, like, do the stuff or don't do the stuff, whatever. And I was like, I feel like I told you this 2 years ago, but I'm not going to tell you I told you so. But again, let me say, I'm thinking it very loudly.
Well, what has helped, I think, is with him being in band and a number of his friends having graduated.
Yeah.
And went on to college.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think that in and of itself, too, has been a big help with that.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I'm just grateful he's got a mostly decent group of friends who are fairly responsible.
Absolutely.
Fairly polite. Not leading him down paths that would make my hair go any grayer than it already is.
Like I did in my youth?
Like if my parents had known, they would be saying the same thing. I just hid it very well from my parents. So yeah, the kids are good. We're good. We're still adjusting to only having one car. I keep going, I'm going to go do this while you're doing that. And then one of us will go, no, you're not. There's only the one car to use.
I mean, I would take the bike out more, but we've been having so much rain.
Sure. And it's, middle of summer, so if you don't have to take the bike out, even when it's not raining, like, don't do that to yourself. But the cats are good.
Yeah.
They are definitely relaxing more. Ella does that cat lounge stretch splay everywhere kind of lay in the kitchen, because that is her domain.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm relaxed when I'm close to food. That is when I can truly relax.
Well, this morning, I have a morning routine that I let Lola out of her crate, and we do belly rubs and all this. Have a little good morning routine with her. This morning, while I was rubbing her belly, Onyx came and laid down on the floor in an arched...
Like the loungy kind of?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Next to Lola.
Aww.
Yeah.
Was it sort of a, I'm just here vibing, or hey, pet me too?
It was just like, yeah, I'm here too. I'm going to hang out and chill.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. Yeah, I feel like Onyx is like way relaxed. Yep. Way relaxed.
And she let me pick her up the other day.
Yeah, okay, that was the thing. I was like, wait, there was a thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
She let me pick her up the other day. I was putting some clothes away in the dresser, and she climbed in the dresser drawer. And normally, if I just like make a move, like I'm closing the drawer, she's gone.
Oh yeah.
This time she wasn't. She decided she was going to kind of hunker down and slide in with it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh no. So I pulled the drawer back out, and I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. And I scooped her up from underneath, picked her up, moved her to the floor, and she didn't flinch. She didn't rip my eyes out. She didn't, and then where I set her on the floor, she just like, well, okay, and just, kind of lay down and hung out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
she's relaxing.
It was a very momentous moment for me.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'm jealous. She will sometimes let me put my hand under her stomach, like under her, to move her, like when I'm making the bed, but not to that extent. And she is yours, you are hers, so she will let you do that long before she lets me do that. But it's okay. Mm-hmm. She has it's been ongoing for a few weeks, but it's like really like a cemented routine now that once the lights are out in our bedroom and we've put our phones down or our iPad or whatever, and we're like settled into bed, that's when she jumps up next to me. Yeah. And she aggressively like leans into me, so I'll pet her, and she lays down next to me to clean herself, and when she's done cleaning herself, maybe she'll let me pet her for a minute or two, maybe not, depends on her mood, and then she's off and doing her own thing. But it's like every night, like I almost can't go to sleep now if I don't get like 10 minutes to just pet her for a while. And it's like, I love you, Onyx. Yep. So, but yeah, so it's just same old for us. I know. I mean, are there things? There are always things. Are they coming to mind right now? Not really. And part of it is we got to hold on to stuff because we got the Friday
night hangout coming up.
Virtual munch or whatever we're gonna call it. 9:30 p.m. We usually last till Eastern. Midnight Eastern. All my words are jumbling in my head. We start at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We usually last until midnight Eastern. So give people time to like come in and go and do their own thing. Maybe we'll do some show and tell because we did just release some new products into the kinkery. But yeah, it's mostly just chill. I might need some potato chips. I mean, I know we have the guacamole chips and the cauliflower chips, but I might need some Ruffles, like wavy or Ruffles have ridges or whatever the hell those things are called.
I'll consider it. Think about it.
I'll make you some dip.
I'll dip you.
Okay. Promises. So, yeah, I would say that's probably it for us.
Yeah.
This week. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've had a lot going on. It's been a crazy week.
Typical for us.
Some good, some not so good, some frustrating, some,
We had an argument, but we resolved it by email. It felt so old school for us. I was like, he's not listening when I speak. What happens if I email him? And then you actually shared your actual thoughts via email, and I was like, look at us resolving.
Imagine that.
Look at us not sniping at one another. This is
I was thinking
delightful.
more of the ongoing saga with the insurance company and the mortgage company, but you know.
No, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of us.
Yeah.
No, I feel like that's being resolved, and by the end of the week, it will be resolved.
It is hopefully finally being resolved, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, third time's the charm, I hope.
Okay, we're going to go.
Yep.
We love you guys.
Thanks for joining us,
Thanks
everybody.
for sticking with us to the bitter end. If you have not already entered the giveaway, lovingbdsm.net/giveaway. Links in all the places, of course. Available to enter through the month of August. Multiple ways to enter multiple times. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. Blah, blah.
I feel like I'm in a Charlie Brown
No, that's
cartoon.
wah wah.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, wah, 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 wah.
We're